everybody. We are taking a look at the TubeWorks Real Tube 2, or the RT922. It's kind of an interesting unit. So these were designed by BK Butler and then distributed by TubeWorks. These came in rack mount versions. They came in pedal versions as well. Some of the pedal version stuff is is hardwired, like a rack mount preamp would be. Some of it, I believe, runs on 9-volt. This is also kind of the company that made the tube driver. There's a lot going on in here, and then they were eventually bought out by Jens Benz, I think. I believe that was the company that bought them. This one was kind of by request. I use this a little bit with recording and stuff. I'm not going to say I use it all the time, but I do use it a little bit. It's a pretty interesting unit. It comes with 2 channels that you can stack together. For a small unit, it actually comes with a lot of gain. Single input, multiple outputs for both line level and instrument level. Signal chain is my PRS 30th anniversary S2 into my pedal board with various compression and overdrive into the front end of the TubeWorks. From there it's going into my interface and then into my DAW, which in my DAW I am running Torpedo Wall of Sound with a Vintage 30 cab and a Greenback cab. And then the reverb you're hearing is just a LX480 reverb. So, without further ado, we're going to get into a clean channel. Knobs relatively at noon. Let's just make sure. So yeah, relatively good sounding clean channel. It has a little bit of character even with all of the knobs at noon. I'm going to bring my input level down here on the interface and just bring the volume of the preamp up. This is where this thing starts to come alive on the clean side. I'm going to take a little bit of mids out, crank up the low end, crank up the high end. This is pretty similar to how I run this preamp when I'm recording. You can see it really starts to come alive the more volume you give it, hitting the front end pretty hard. I'm obviously not hitting a power amp here. I think I'm just hitting that first tube gain stage, and it's like turning up the volume on a overdrive pedal. It's not going to give a whole bunch of gain. It gives more character, and that's kind of what I think this is doing. The mids in this get really aggressive really fast. That's why I only got them about halfway up. I boosted a little bit of treble, a little bit of low end. The Stackmaster's out of the circuit right here. We're going to get into that. That's probably really one of the coolest parts about this preamp is the Stackmaster. But so if we just crank up the volume on the clean channel. That's my favorite way to use this side of the preamp. Just clean volume all the way up. You're getting that just broken up type thing, and then you can hit that with an overdrive pedal. I have on the ground here a Noble's ODR1. So yeah, that's how I would use the clean channel on this, whether I was playing it live or in the studio. Have that good broken up tone, and then hit it with an overdrive. I'm going to coil tap the PRS here just so you can get kind of an idea of what the single coil sounds like. More than likely, this is how I would end up using this, is with a single coil, volume all the way up to get just a little bit of grit in there. That's just going back to the humbucker. Let's see. I'm going to kick it over to the drive channel without stacking it. So I'll just, now we're on this side, obviously. Get the master. I believe that's where the master needs to be for this thing to So here's where your contour knob on the drive channel really comes into play. So all the way this way is supposed to be Marshall E, all the way that way is supposed to be Mesa E, and if you put her in the middle, I guess that's Fender E? I don't know. To me, that sounds how it should. Which is good. It sounds really reasonable. I'll put the EQ at noon here. So, to me that sounds terrible. Taking a little bit of the mids out, cranking up the low end, cranking up the high end. Cool. Yeah, so let's bring the drive up a little bit. I'm going to take it, we were about a quarter of the way, maybe a little bit less. We're going about halfway here. Just that a little bit. Sounds pretty good. Bring the contour over to this way here, see what we get. say Mesa-y, but definitely a little bit looser. Let's go right about there. Let's take the drive up about 3/4 of the way. Getting flubby on me there. Let's bring the contour back this way. It's almost like a graphic EQ type thing that it does. I mean, plenty of gain on this side. So now we're going to just jump into like the stack thing. And this is where it gets pretty wild. Going from the overdrive channel, this is a gain stage that cascades into itself. So there's 2 tubes in this. And I believe you're just overdriving one tube into the other. I think that was the concept here. So we'll just stack them. So now we have the stack master here. This is cascading the clean channel into the gain channel. So the stack master will bring up, and you're going to hear a pretty drastic tone change here. This is more modern, scoopy type thing. Definitely more of a Mesa sound there. Let's bring the contour over this way. Hopefully that's actually doing something. And then, like, obviously boatloads of gain. Bring the mids up on both ends. Definitely more modern. Stackmaster's up. It's just got a lot of gain. So let's bring in some more mids. It definitely does something, or it scoops a whole bunch of mid-range out. So I'm just trying to bring a little bit of that back. A little better. It's almost too much for that type of stuff, but I'm going to bring up the drive on this side. That really boosts the gain. Let's go halfway. We're about a quarter actually hit that riff this time, kind of. More gain, you know, 3/4. This, for some reason, I am feeling as though it's bringing in a clipping diode type thing. It sounds solid state. There's less tube stuff going on, more analog stuff. So this is with the drive man. It's a lot of gain. It's got a lot of gain. It's going to contour to the middle, so that I have a feeling it's going to get pretty loose here. Yeah, so much like in the last video, bring the drive back down. Much like in the last video, that contour knob or that EQ really loses a lot of its power than with the more gain you have. That just got really loose and flubby. So, yeah, ways I would prefer to use this is, like I said, on the clean channel, volume cranked, a little bit of grit on the tone, and then on the drive channel. The stack thing is cool, and it works. I know Michael Nielsen's got a video of Marty Friedman using this preamp, or him going through it and explaining how Marty used it on the Rust in Peace stuff. And it's the sound, but it's all for leads. Like, it's not the super rhythmic, heavy duty picked stuff that they did on that album. I believe those were all Marshalls or 80A MP1s into 2150 power amps. They used a whole different plethora of gear for that album, but this and the blue tube. So the blue tube, from the way I understand it, is the clean channel in this thing, and the blue tube is something a little bit different. They marketed this more towards keyboard players and bass players, but it does sound. This actually sounds almost identical to channel 1 on the Real Tube 2. So, yeah, TubeWorks made a whole bunch of interesting stuff in the 90s, late 80s through the 90s. And they made the Moss valves. They made head versions of the Real Tube, or the Real Tube 2. There's a head version where it's got some glass in it, but it's mostly solid state. Power section and everything is solid state, but I think it's pretty tubey up until you stack them, and then it gets super analog. It gets really like clipping diodes or op amps. It's like a pedal, it's just throwing a bunch of gain in front of it, which I'm not the biggest fan of. But the clean channel, and then even on the drive channel without stacking them, is very usable sounds, and definitely for the studio. So yeah, Real Tube by BK Butler, TubeWorks. They're great. You can get them pretty cheap. I want to say less than $300. I know that's what I paid. I paid less than $300 for this one. You just gotta scour Reverb and Musician's Friend or Guitar Center used. They pop up quite a bit. Same with the blue tubes if you really want one. There's other stuff out there that I think better serves the purpose, and that's a little bit more compact. But this stuff, for sitting in a studio rack, for just always being there, it's pretty handy. So, yeah. Anyway, there's your Real Tube 2 by BK Butler and TubeWorks. Thanks.